Economy is Mining Weekly Online. We're speaking to Sakila Mirza and Neil Harvey of the LBMA. Firstly, Sakila, can you explain to us what is the LBMA all about? What are its aims and what are its aspirations?
Well, sure, Martin. How long have you got? So the LBMA, at a very high level, we are an association representing market participants in the wholesale OTC market, so over-the-counter market. And this includes banks, traders, logistic companies across the world. But also we accredit refiners. So that's probably the most relevant for our discussion today. We accredit refiners, again, for gold and silver around the world. And what this accreditation means is if you're accredited by the LBMA, you can sell your gold or silver into the London market. However, that list, which is known as the Good Delivery List, is also used by governments around the world, exchanges around the world. So it's very much so, if you're on this list, you can sell your gold into other international markets and not just London. So very high level, that's what we do.
In South Africa at the moment, there's been particular concern around illegal gold mining, and it has taken an elevated position because there have been serious attacks on gold plants. Now, what happens to gold like that? How do you ensure that this doesn't get into the market and get into the official market?
Sure. So in 2012, the LBMA launched what we call the Responsible Sourcing Program. And what this, again, at very high level requires for all our accredited refiners, so in the gold sector there's 70 refiners accredited by the LBMA, to undergo an independent third-party assurance whereby they have to implement the guidance that the LBMA has put out, which is mandatory upon the refiners. This is basically asking refiners to evaluate the risks, look at the supply chain, identify those risks, address those risks, have systems and controls to mitigate those risks, and then to report on this by undergoing a third-party audit every 12 months.
Just to build on what Sakila's just said, one of the requirements of the refiners is that they must supply details of exactly where every bit of gold that they've sourced comes from, what form it's in, what country it came from, and exact amounts. And we compare that to mine output, but also where is the refinery sending its refined gold to. So we would know if the legitimate refineries were doing South African ASM gold, because we audit that process.
And has there ever been a situation where you reject the gold that do these refineries say, we're not taking this gold?
Oh, completely. And last year we had one very large refinery publicly saying, we're not going to take ASM gold from anywhere, it's too much of a risk. And we also got other refineries saying, actually, we're prepared to try it. As long as we can do it responsibly, we are prepared to source that gold.
Sakila, what is next with LBMA? What are they going to offer next?
So we are now 8 years into the program, and so actually the question is quite timely because we're looking at what is the next 3-year strategy for the LBMA and its responsible sourcing program. Very broadly, we've split that into 5 areas that we're going to prioritize over the next 3 years. Firstly, there's a lot of information that we are getting from refiners, trying to put out in the public domain, but we need more. We need to push for more transparency, better disclosure, and more information. So we're certainly going to be prioritizing that and actually putting more information out there. Secondly, it's looking at the value chain. So where can we actually use leverage? Where can we actually try and, again, get more information to provide that more transparency so that the entire supply chain is sympathetic to where the risks are and how we can actually try and mitigate and address them. Thirdly, as I mentioned, the audit programs, well, the audit is only as good as the auditor. So improving the quality of the auditor, improving the quality of the audit is absolutely critical for this program to be successful. And then next we're also, and perhaps something that Neil can expand on, we're looking at ASM. How can the LBMA be supporting a lot of the ASM initiatives that we have out there? What can the LBMA do? And I think, Neil, as you mentioned, with the refiners who've disengaged, what can the LBMA do to perhaps provide that safe environment so you can actually source responsibly in terms of ASM? And then lastly, looking at how can the LBMA push for higher standards. So we are looking at a program to see where we can actually push for better and higher standards. And again, I think part of that is actually working with the mining community to see where we can actually support them and they can support us.
To build on what Sakila said about ASM, we are looking at ways we can support refiners in their initiatives to responsibly source ASM gold. There are a number of initiatives that are being started by the mining community, the producers. So there's things like the World Gold Council's work that they're doing, also the ICMM, and there's the IRMA standard, which is really making sure that the producers, which are doing a good job, are being able to demonstrate that. And what that does for us is that the refiners and the producers are speaking the same language. So it really facilitates the handshake of transferring the gold, the doré, from the producers to the refiners.
Now the acronym ESG, E standing for environment, S for social, and G for government, it's just all over the place. There's ESG here, there's ESG there, there's ESG everywhere. And so how does ESG help in this situation?
Okay, so obviously that's a big focus of our program at the moment, is incorporating all aspects of ESG and making sure that we're telling the good story where there is a good story to tell. But at the same time, if something goes wrong, it's not the fact that something's gone wrong, it's what are people doing about it when it goes wrong? How do you prevent it happening again? So those ESG aspects that are built into our program and the supporting producer programs is really going to come to the fore.